Hello, my name is Joe Barton, and I am the Science Facilitator for the Kirkwood School District, and this is an overview of the new K-5 Science and Engineering curriculum for the 2015-16 school year. I'm trying to be brief, give you the highlights. Everything you need to know is in the curriculum iBook, and if you don't have a copy of that, let me know and I'll send you one. So the iBook is divided into 6 sections. The first one is just an overview of the curriculum, how it was developed, what are the essential questions and enduring understandings, the philosophy behind it, and how we wanted to teach it. And also this difference between science and engineering, because that's kind of new this year. So read through that so you really get an understanding of what we're trying to do with this curriculum. The next section has the state and national standards upon which the curriculum was built. We relied heavily on the next generation science standards, but also on the Missouri State grade level expectations. So if you flip through this section, what you'll find are some information about the next generation science standard, or the NGSS. There's some really powerful ways that these were developed and structured, and it's worth taking a look because they really align with the philosophy of how we want to teach science. The third part is something we call the learning cycle. So this is we want science to be very open-ended and discovery-based, and we want students to see science as something that they do, not as something that they need to learn. So how do we create a structure through which students can have these discovery and exploration-based experiences? So some of the facilitators last year put together this idea of a learning cycle. So it's a structure upon which you can build units that don't start with content. They're not focused on some specific piece of content knowledge, but they start with exploring and asking questions and finding and sharing answers to questions, then using the knowledge you develop. So this section takes you through that learning cycle. How do we explore and play? What questions might we ask in science? How do scientists answer questions? Well, they conduct experiments, they do observations, they conduct research, and you'll get a poster for your classroom that summarizes this and then has more information on the back so that we can all have some universal language about how we do science. As the learning cycle, as you go around that, we analyze data, we share it. We can use a structure called claim, evidence, and reasoning to share our answers, so there's some information about that there. And then the last step is we can use this, we can transfer this knowledge. So now that we know something, we can use it to solve problems, and that's what engineers do. So this section has some information about how we do engineering, and you'll get another poster that describes an engineering cycle. Big feature here, those feedback loops. So engineers are constantly testing and redesigning solutions to problems. The next section gives you some big picture overviews. So the K through 5 scope and sequence. So here's a map of when certain content is taught at what levels or what grades, what cross-cutting concepts are emphasized at each grade level, and how those science and engineering skills, those practices will develop from K to 5, from being engaged with their class to working independently. And what's in red is what's new each grade level. There's also some files here from the Missouri State grade level expectations. These provide you with some specific information about what kind of tools kids might use each grade level and work they'll do in designing investigations. So it's worth taking a look at that to sort of gauge what the expectation is that our students should be doing in science at each grade level. The next section has more grade level specific information. So all of the materials for science are stored in Google Drive folders that are shared by everybody in the district. So you can add, you can get access to things, you can edit anything that you want that's in those Google Drives. Right here on this page is a link to all of the Google Drive folders. So if we click on that, we're taken to a page where there's a folder for every grade level. By the way, to access these, you have to be logged onto your g.kirkwoodschools.org account. And sometimes you'll see this open in Drive. If you click on that, it actually puts these into your Drive so that you've got access to these. They're still connected. They're still the shared ones with everybody else, but you won't have to go to the iBook every time you want to access these. On the right side, there's some links to Google folders that have more general stuff. So pages that have been developed for science and engineering notebooks, some of those posters and other images people have put together, information about Genius Hour and 20% time, really independent exploration. And then if you're interested in STEAM, which is bring the arts into science and engineering, and also makerspaces, there's some information about that there. Each grade level page, we're going to come back to this page in just a second, but each grade level page looks basically the same. There's a list of your units that are the content focuses that we've got in each grade level, and then a suggested order. We are not locked into any particular order this year. This is new. We want to figure out the best way to do it. So don't feel like you have to teach things in the order that they're here. The Being a Scientist unit, some grade levels have developed that. They start off with a unit that focuses on how we do science and engineering, and others have that wrapped up into some of the other units in that grade level. So that's in every grade level, but not every grade level has materials in that unit. When you click on these, you'll be taken to a Google folder that there's a guaranteed 3 things that will be in each one. I'm going to take you back to this page. This table describes what'll be there. So the one thing is a unit outline that's based on the learning cycle. So it's a little Google slideshow that takes you through each step of the learning cycle and what you might do in that unit on that step of the learning cycle. So some structure there, but definitely some open-endedness. If you're ready for some real open-endedness, there's also a file that shows you the next generation science standard for those units. So if you just want to know what's the end point, and I'm going to figure out a great way to get my kids there, go with that one. So there's really nothing other than the standards, and you can build experiences around those standards. If you need something that's more structured, there's also a copy of what's called a MySci unit. So MySci is an organization that's in St. Louis that has developed NGSS aligned science unit, so they really match what we're doing. They're exploration based. It's basically a PDF packet with lesson descriptions and copies of handouts. We have almost all of the materials that go along with those units. We don't have everything. If you're looking for something that's really structured, you could go to that, maybe do it as is, or use that as a starting point for doing some planning on your own. There's also some files that have learning targets, essential questions, report card rubrics, that type of thing. So you can find your grade level and start clicking on units. There's some suggestions on order or how you might combine things, but all of the information that you might need is there. And then this last section has the report card standards. There's a video right here that explains what are year-long standards, what are quarter-based standards, so check out that video. But basically they've been divided into practice standards, content standards, and cross-cutting concepts. So as you flip through this section, all 6 grade levels have their practice standards and then their cross-cutting concept standards. We've picked out just a few of those 7 that go along with that grade level, and then finally the content standards. So like I said, there's that video back there that shows you how we'll use these this year. 2 things that we are still working on this year. One is assessments. The science committee will be working on writing and refining assessments for these units this year. So that's something that you can feel free to offer some suggestions for that. And the second is resources. We have a lot of science equipment in the district, and people have requested things, and we're working on ordering those things. But if you need something to teach science, let me know, and we will figure out a way to get it to you. So, or maybe figure out an alternative that we already have. So I hope this helps. As always, anytime you have questions about science, how to teach it, where something is, please don't hesitate to contact me. I think that's it. So have a good start to the school year. Thank you. Bye. So I'm at home and I'm finishing this up, and I realized I forgot to say something, and that's have fun exploring and learning science and engineering with your kids.
Science is awesome.
There you go. And when you're doing cool stuff, don't forget to post it on the Kirkwood Science and Engineering Facebook page. Have a good night.
Bye. Have fun.